When we look up at clouds and see what's immediately above our heads, we see localized phenomena. When you zoom up and look at them from space, you realize that although what's immediately above you is a localized phenomenon, it's actually part of an enormous planetary event. It reminds us that we're part of global processes, enormous planetary geophysical processes that affect us. I've been writing books about clouds for 10 years now. This is my third one, entitled Extraordinary Clouds. And it's really a byproduct of an earlier book that I wrote for the Met Office called The Cloud Book, which was really supposed to be a serious account of the International Cloud Classification and all of the cloud types that fall within that. When I was researching that book, I kept coming across these clouds that didn't fit into the International Cloud Classification. They were sort of oddities and extraneous clouds, so I put them to one side. And after a while I had more than 100 of these images. Now I began to look for them in photo libraries and archives. I asked photographer friends if they had any pictures lying around of weird and wonderful clouds. And after a while I had more than 1,000 images of extraordinary clouds, that most of which didn't seem to really fit in to the cloud classification as it stands. The Environment Institute did a very clever thing. They appointed a writer-in-residence and artist-in-residence, Martin John Callanan, to coincide.
Unlike Richard, who's got a huge fascination with clouds, I've never really considered clouds before. I've been more interested in systems and systems that define how we live our life. The idea behind the cloud globe is to highlight the fragility of the environmental systems that operate in the world. So I took the water system, represented by the clouds above the Earth's surface, and this data is collected constantly from satellites which are positioned 36,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. I've taken this data from 1 second in time, where all 6 satellites match up and together show the whole world. This data has taken over 9 months and involving lots of different scientists from different departments at UCL. It ends up with this object which is created from nylon powder at the Digital Manufacturing Centre in the Bartlett School of Architecture. And it takes 2 days to create the whole globe as a laser beam slowly goes across the powder, heating it and setting it. The surface only shows the clouds. You can't see the continents below in the gaps. I wanted to highlight that the whole Earth is interdependent.
When you feel something like the wind on your cheek, you're not just feeling something random, you're feeling a very localized consequence of something that's global and something enormous, this energy budget that comes from the sun hitting the surface of the Earth. Often when you look at a cloud briefly, you imagine that it's just white in colour and a bit featureless and formless. But if you look closely, you realise that clouds are actually made up of a huge chromatic range of colour and shade and volume and texture, and that it's constantly on the move and constantly shifting. I think most people tend to glance up at the sky and think, oh, that's rather depressing or that's rather beautiful. But if you look at it for a few minutes on end, you'll see incredible amounts of change. You'll see things happening, you'll see little sort of castles being built, you'll see decay and movement and life and light, and it's an absolutely extraordinary visual feast up there in the sky.